Welcome to the show, Grammy nominated singer-songwriter Sam Ashworth. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing very well, thank you.
Absolutely. So before we go into any further, Nick, give me the song, the singer, the songwriter that made you want to get into songwriting and singing.
Wow. Um, the very first one would be my father. I grew up listening to him write songs um, as far back as I can remember. I mean, there was just I knew every word to every one of his songs, and I mean, and he's a pianist, and so he would always be playing piano in the house and writing, and as little kids, my sister and I, we would always be just kind of hanging around and bugging him while he's trying to write, and but yeah, I mean, he would definitely be the first. I would say probably, once my mom turned me on to the Beatles, when I was 5, 6 years old, something like that. That would that was probably the first music that I became obsessed with, and ultimately probably inspired by, mostly I'd say Paul McCartney. Um, but yeah, I mean, and through the years, it's been a lot of greats like Cat Stevens, and I was very into Nick Drake for a while, and listened to a lot of Bob Marley and Al Green, and I mean, it's just I'm kind of all over the place with my influences.
Yeah, I hate when people try to put music in a box, right? You know what I mean? Or a certain genre in a box. It's like, well, what do you listen to? I'm like, well, if you looked at my Spotify playlist, I listen to everything, right?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, I don't listen to a ton of music. Like I mean, I listen. I'm like a researcher, because it's my job, so I'm always kind of seeing what's going on out there. But as far as listening for pleasure, I mean, it's a lot of the times, like when we're cooking, we're in the kitchen, we've got, I listen to the African Heat playlist a lot. I love Afrobeat, and we'll either be listening to that or bossa nova or some Miles Davis or something. So that's like, it's more like listening to music for the mood, you know. But when I'm in like work mode, I'm research guy.
Two different sides of your love for music. It's
Hmm.
the mood. It's just like film writing. You know what I mean? You got to get in the mood to, it's hard for me to write and listen to something with lyrics at the same time. I feel like it's distracting sometimes.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I cannot multitask, so I can't listen to anything while I'm trying to do something else. Like if I need to sit and, catch up on emails or something like that, I can't have the TV on, I can't have music on. Like I just can't. I mean, I've tried before. I'll put like, oh, what if I put some classical music on or something like that? No, it's too distracted. I start thinking about, whoa, what was I? That was crazy, and then I get like off on it,
It gets you
totally off on
completely
what.
off track of what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah, 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 exactly.
So recently, I'm a part of the Music City Film Critic Association, and recently we announced that Speak Now, which is a
Yeah.
film on the One Night in Miami soundtrack, which is a fictional account of an incredible night where icons Muhammad Ali, Sam Cooke, Jim Brown, Malcolm X gather their discussions in their roles in the civil rights movement. You co-wrote the lead original track from the film Speak Now with Leslie Odom Jr. How did this come about?
Well, first of all, thank you for your part in voting for the win. I mean, I guess I would have to, if we got time, I'll just reel it back to how Leslie and I met. Um, so uh, I work with Universal Music Publishing, and the fellow there who signed me a couple years ago reached out and said, "Hey, would you be interested in doing this writing camp with Leslie Odom Jr.?" And I had heard his name before, but I had not seen Hamilton at that point, and I didn't know the voice that he had. I didn't know. I mean, it was all new to me, and I was told, yeah, it's gonna be like, you know, more kind of like jazz, like, you know, traditional vocal kind of thing, you know. And I grew up listening to a lot of jazz because my dad is, as well as an accomplished songwriter, is also an amazing jazz pianist. And so I grew up listening to a lot of jazz. So I was like, man, that'll be something really nice and different. And, you know, I had been, you know, mainly working mostly in the R&B space and pop, and it's like, this will be like a really cool break, you know, go do something jazzy. And um, and it was at Skywalker Ranch. So, you know, I couldn't ignore my excitement for that possibility to be there. But so yeah, I went to this camp, and you know, we just hit it. It was a bunch of songwriters, and we just had an awesome time, and wrote, started writing the songs that were on his last album, Mr. And that, you know, the album didn't turn out to be a jazz album. It didn't turn out to be a pop traditional vocal or whatever, you know, I thought it was going to be. Crooner, that's what it was pitched to me as. It was like more like a crooner thing. So anyways, we just made like, you know, super eclectic bunch of songs, and I think he made an amazing album. We ended up doing a second camp to kind of finish all those songs, and recorded a bunch of stuff. And anyway, so we just, you know, really hit it off over that time, and have just kept up with each other, and, you know, he's really become a good friend. And so this, oddly enough, this came about, I was reached out to by Randall Poster, who's, you know, an incredible music supervisor, has an amazing history. He called me and said, "Hey, Jody Gerson at UMPG and Walter Jones had recommended you for this movie, to see if you're interested in writing for it." And you know, he said, "Have you heard of this film, One Night in Miami?" And I said, "I've only heard about it just because, you know, Leslie's buddy of mine, and I keep up with his career and what he's doing and stuff, but I don't really know much about it." And he just kind of gave me like a little brief, you know, description or whatever. And, you know, and I found out there were multiple people writing for this spot, you know, and they were just kind of reaching out to a lot of people. And so I said, "Yeah, absolutely. You know, I'm very into it." And he said, "Great." I mean, there was no direction really at all. It was just like, "We'll send you the movie, watch it, and get inspired, you know, see what happens." And so yeah, they sent me like an early screener, and I was just, you know, I mean, I was just blown away, man. I mean, it's just incredible film. I mean, even unfinished, you know, without a soundtrack and without, you know, whatever special effects or whatever, you know, things are in it. It was just incredible. And I was just so moved by it. You know, I just decided, I was like, I gotta get this, you know, like, I gotta get this. I gotta be involved with this movie. And so I just kind of had a determination that I hadn't felt in a long time, to like I saw something I really wanted to be a part of, you know, and it wasn't about money, it wasn't about position, it wasn't anything. It was just like, I want to be a part of this, and so I'm going to do whatever it takes to, you know, to be a part of it. And so yeah, you know, it took me a kind of a couple of days to sort of process the film. I mean, I wouldn't say I've processed it at this point, and I've seen it, I think, 3 times now, um, but really just like the starting point, you know, is the hardest thing as a writer, you know. It's just like, where do I,
It's so hard to just be like, this is where I want to. You got an idea of where you might want to go, but
yeah, yeah, but it's like, what's the jump off point? What is in a story that like this, that is just so layered and has so many elements, you know, like what do I jump off of? And what's the most kind of obvious theme to me, you know. um and so, you know, like I always do when I start writing, especially if I'm writing on my own. I mean, I'll just sit at an instrument and just start playing and singing a bunch of gibberish, you know. And um interestingly enough, I started this on piano, and I'm not a piano player. I really am not. I would never play in front of anyone. I play on stuff I produce because I can, you know, doctor it and make it make myself sound like I'm better than I am. But but sometimes I like to sit down at a piano, and because it just gets different ideas going. I've been playing guitar most of my life, so guitar is like, I can get trapped, you know, into traditional things that I do on that, habits and stuff. So I started on piano just to kind of like open up my mind to some new ideas, musically and melodically, um, and you know, wrote and rewrote and wrote and rewrote for, you know, a few days. This is where I wrote. This is where we worked on it. This in Bellevue, um, and so I spent, you know, a long time just writing a bunch of stuff. And I had the, um, basically the chorus kind of came together. It's then I then switched over to guitar and started getting that feel. And I'm playing guitar on the recording as well. Um, and so kind of started like, you know, I would what, you know, I'd like rewatch the end of the film a lot, you know, to like, because the song had to follow A Change Is Gonna Come. So when I found, like, after watching it the first time and realized that this song was gonna have to come after A Change Is Gonna Come, I mean, man, I was, you know, the pressure was so deep.
you were already feeling the
Yeah.
pressure, and then you
Oh yeah.
realize what's to
Yeah.
come, and you're
Hmm.
because it's very pivotal. Like that song's the moment,
Yeah.
right? It's the moment.
Yeah, all the whole thing, the whole movie climaxes at that. That's the moment. And I had to follow that up, and that was really daunting. And so there was a lot of self-doubt. I mean, a lot of like, oh no, I don't know, that's probably not the right feel, I don't, you know. And eventually just kind of felt like, you know, I played around with a lot of tempos and a lot of feels on the guitar and everything, and just kind of like, what is gonna not be jarring coming out of A Change Is Gonna Come? What is gonna um, complement it? You know, what's gonna be maybe uh, an, an add-on, or like a, you know, yeah, I'm losing my words, but so that's, I think the chorus ended up coming together, and the words "speak now" came, and that to me started, it just started feeling like, you know, what do I feel at the end of this movie, you know? And it's that we can't be silent. We just, you know, we have to speak. We have to speak about what we see. And, you know, it diminishes the power of evil when we speak about it, you know. And so I wanted the song to be an encouragement. And so anyway, the Speak Now felt right. Originally, I had a lot of other stuff, a lot of other lyrics filled in there, you know, and thanks to my wife, Ruby Amanfu, who's an amazing singer and songwriter herself, you know, I would go up and I'd play her some stuff, just be like, you know, that's too busy in the chorus, you know, and because when I write on my own, now Leslie's coming into this, but when I start writing on my own, it's, you know, it's very easy to listen to the self-doubt, or not to be able to not see it from a bird's eye view. You just can't, you know, and it's just crucial to have somebody you trust to, you know, bounce off of, which is why I love co-writing so much. So I knew Leslie was so busy, and he was actually kind of working on all the other songs with other people as well. And, you know, since I kind of knew about what his life was like at that moment, it's like, I'm not going to bug him until I have something that I feel is like ready to dive in deeper on the lyric, you know. And so I had written the first version of this. The hook was the same, the chorus was the same, you know, but the lyrics were completely different in the verses. So the verses were all much more poetic and not so tangible. And so finally, so I had sent that version to Leslie, and you know, and he said, you know, I'm loving the direction, and blah, blah, you know, some different ideas and stuff like that. And then so we just decided to jump on a video chat, and so we spent, you know, 45 minutes or so just talking through, you know, his perspective, which was crucial. I mean, Leslie had been inside of being Sam Cooke and been inside of this movie and this script and the experience, and it's like, you know, it really all kind of hinged on him and his point of view. And so we talked through so many different things, and I just took loads and loads of notes, and you know, it was just kind of that was the turning point. So when we talked through all the lyrics and the verses, and you know what needed changing, and then really his point of view, you know, from the philosophical point to you know, and really just kind of getting on the same page about what we wanted the song to be, and you know, not only just the message but the feel, and so, you know, I got off that call with him, and really just kind of like lyricized, you know, his words, and with sprinklings of my own, obviously, but really kind of created the verses from everything that we had talked about, you know, and specifically like the final verse, the children will grow on the seeds that we sow. They listen. Um, that was the last verse that I had written. The one I was struggling with the most was the final verse, and I was going through our conversation, our notes, and Leslie talking about the legacy that he wants to leave for his children, and the the life that we live, and that is what we pass on, and and how we respond to all of these things. I mean, racism and just all of these themes. It's like how we deal with it. They're watching, they're listening, and this is what we pass on, good or bad. And so yeah, that's kind of how it came about. And once I had really felt, and I wrote for another probably a couple days after that. I mean, I spent a good week or so, working on this song, and it's like more time than I've spent on any song I've ever written. But I just wanted it so badly to be right, and it just meant so much to me to have the opportunity to be a part of a film that was that's this powerful. And so I was just determined, and once I had wrapped that up and recorded another demo and sent it to Leslie, and he called me straight away, and he was like, "Bro, chills. This is everything is perfect. You're done." And so yeah, then I had to wait like another couple of weeks to see if it got through all the higher ups and the producers and Regina and everybody. And then after a couple of weeks, I had found out that they had picked it for the movie. So, I mean, I was on cloud nine. I mean, that was just Leslie being so excited about it for me was really all I needed. I mean, that was, awesome gratification and validation. And so everything after that has been just icing on the cake,
Very powerful. I've listened to the song about 1,000 times. And one of the things that I think intrigues me about the writing of the song. So obviously Leslie Odom, just you close your eyes, you hear Sam Cooke. I mean, but when you're writing this song, not only are you really writing this with the idea of this powerful message in one hand, right? You have to kind of be the icing on the cake. But on the flip side of it, you're writing a song for somebody who's actually portraying one of the most infamous characters. Sam Cooke's an amazing singer. His voice is amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
your approach in that is that any different? Like, you're writing a song, like I said, you're writing the song for Leslie Odom, who's playing Sam Cooke. Was that intimidating, obviously, but also at the same time, did you have to do anything different in that process?
Well, first of all, I had been given the direction, well, and also, Leslie's vision for it was that A Change Is Gonna Come was the last you hear of Sam Cooke, and Speak Now was going to be the bridge, but it was then now in Leslie's voice. So as his own artist, and how he is answering to The Change Is Gonna Come and the entire film. But so yeah, so it was a little bit. I think it would have been a lot more difficult if he and I hadn't have worked together already and written 5 or 6 songs or so together. And so I really kind of I felt like I kind of knew what he liked, and I mean, I'm sure I'll always be surprised, and learn new things, but like I kind of felt like I had a good handle on, and I mean, I am nowhere near the singer that Leslie is, but we have a very similar range. So I can sing quite high and quite low, and you know, he's got that range, and so that is that makes writing for someone else's voice like give you a real leg up, you know, if you because you know, sometimes if I'm writing for someone with a more limited range, or you know, I mean, you have to think about, I mean, when you're writing, you know, for a female voice rather than a male voice, you know, it's like there are just things that don't work. You know, you can't go from here to here and back and then there's all around, you know, it's like you gotta, so there's a real freedom in writing for someone with such a great range and such a ridiculously amazing voice like Leslie's. It's really nothing but freedom in it, truly, because then it's like I can just play around and just, you know, create melodies that are just beautiful to me, that, you know, there was no there's no box that I had to stay in musically.
Um, so you said you've watched the film 3 times. This journey um, throughout the process of writing such a powerful song with that sort of message. What is something that you learned from this journey through writing the song and for the film, through the film, and throughout this entire process?
I would say that the biggest thing that I've learned about myself is that I mean, this has been probably the most gratifying songwriting experience I've ever had. And I mean, I would have said that right after we finished it. You know, just, it's not, you know, it's not often, if you know, working in pop music, it's difficult. It's more difficult to find moments that you don't feel like kind of caught in the trends of the industry at the time, you know. And well, I don't know, so, you know, this sounds too old, you know, or like this, you know, whatever it is. I mean, there are just so many sort of trappings, I feel, in writing for commercial music, radio and whatnot. There's just a lot of confines, and I would say that this was the purest experience that I've had since I was young, you know. And I decided, you know, some years ago that I was going to make it my mission to get back to the mindset that I had when I was a kid, and just writing just because, you know, writing because it's what I needed, it's what my soul needed. It's like, and there wasn't any, you know, particular target I was shooting for or anything like that. And just trying to find, like, get that childlike wonder back, you know, as I've been in this, you know, in this industry for over 20 years writing. And it's an easy thing to let escape you, is that, like, man, I mean, I started writing music just because I don't even know why, you know. I mean, it's just, I didn't have any purpose other than it just felt so good. It felt so good to sing, you know. And I wasn't much for like learning covers and stuff like that. So I was like, I was gonna sing my own songs, you know. But anyways, I would say through this entire process is that that I've learned is I want to do more of this. You know, this whole thing has just been such an amazing experience, and you know, I'm such a lover of film and great television, and you know, I would say I definitely watch more movies and TV than I do listen to music, you know. Although I write a lot of music, and I listen, you know, I listen to the stuff I'm working on and making sure it's good or whatnot. But you know, I want to do more of this, definitely. So I'm putting that out there. This year I'm going to be focusing on trying to get more involved in this kind of stuff.
I like that a whole lot. Do you have any upcoming projects that we should be aware of right now?
Oh man. You know, this is one of those awkward things where there's like a couple of things that I can't talk about.
I meant to prefix the question and be like, hey, do you have any upcoming projects you're allowed to mention anything about? But I'll take that.
Unfortunately, no. There are a couple things that I cannot wait to share and talk about, but I can't just yet. So
that's perfectly fine.
So right now, yeah, we're just making music.
I like it.
Making tons of music.
I got one more question before we go here. It could be past or present. Singer, songwriter that you've never worked with that you would like to with.
Oh, geez, man. Number one would be Paul McCartney. I mean, and he's probably on my mind a lot right now because I just listened to this awesome new podcast. Well, it's an older episode, but Smartless, I think. It's Jason Bateman and
I love that podcast.
Yeah.
Love
yeah,
it.
those yeah, so they interviewed Paul McCartney. I was just listening to that before we got on. Yeah, I might have to get back to you on that. These are like fine. That's like one of those questions that for me is better in email because then I can go like, and I can think about it for like a day, you know, because I'm always desperately trying to give really honest answers, and so you know, I don't know. We'll go with Paul.
I like it. Where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, Smashworth Songs, and you can find me on Instagram at Smashworth Music, and you can find me on Spotify. I've released a few projects of my own, and I'm featured on some other projects, and yeah, on the Google.
It's like the internship. You can find me on the line.
You can find me on the line, all over the line.
AOL, Google.
Yeah.
If you still use Internet Explorer, you can find me
totally.
there.
I might be there too.
MySpace.
Yeah. I was definitely on MySpace at one point.
So was I, exactly.
Yeah.
Sam, thank you so much for your time today, man.
Hey, Ricky, thank you, man. Yeah, this was awesome. I appreciate you, man. I hope we get to meet in person one of these days.
I hope so too. Me as well.